Hello you guys, and welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies. My name is Sarah, and in today's video I'm going to take you through what I'm doing the first 2 weeks of this year as a middle school teacher. Specifically, I teach middle school social studies and Spanish. However, this 2-week plan is pretty generic because I'm not actually getting into content yet these first 2 weeks. So regardless of what subject you teach, you might find this to be helpful. And as I go through it, to make it really easy for you, if you actually check out the link below, I put this in a free document on our Teachers Pay Teachers store. So again, you can download it for free. Do that in the description if you'd like to follow along as I go through my schedule. What are my main objectives during these first 2 weeks? It's not to rush into the content. It's more so to build class community, classroom rapport. It's also to establish these procedures and really have a good foundation to start off. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. And also it gives me a chance to get to know the students a little better and help me then prepare for what I need the rest of the year. So in doing this, this has not always been my approach. I have learned from my mistakes. This is my 5th year of teaching, but I learned especially last year coming into a new school environment. Last year, I think I was trying to jump into curriculum a lot sooner. And also, I had heard about the importance of talking about classroom procedures, but I think I had kind of the wrong idea in mind. I think I was trying to cover too many different procedures, and it wasn't enough time for them to actually stick, and it was overwhelming, and it was kind of boring. So I've grown from that, and so I think that this plan here I've got for the first 2 weeks will be a lot more effective. So like I said, feel free to download it below for free. Let's start talking through it. Now with my school, our first day with students is on a Wednesday. So even though this is a 2-week plan, it really is only an 8-day plan just because we'll have professional development on the Monday and Tuesday. My very first day of school that I have with students is Wednesday, and it is a half day. Furthermore, we actually have a big assembly, so I'm not actually doing a whole lot like in my classroom. So based upon last year, I was with my first hour students, so only one group, and we spent some time going over the school handbook and some of those general things. Now this year, I don't have a whole lot planned just because it is that group only that I'll see. But I want to make sure, especially with my first hour group, that I'm very clear on a couple of basic starting procedures. Entering the classroom, what does that look like? How we act during the announcements and the pledge, because like I said, I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and last year I did not have clear expectations. You know, one would assume, oh yeah, you know, we'll listen during the announcements, we'll be respectful during the pledge, but there were still issues over and over again that I had to crack down on during the year last year because I didn't set those clear expectations. So even just for the first hour students, how we set those things up, that's our first day. So not really a whole lot just because of the assembly and a short schedule. Let's move on then to the second day, the Thursday. This is a full day of school, and I will see all 4 groups of my students. What we'll do is to do those starting procedures with my remaining groups that I did not see the first day, but then I'll be using my first day activity. Now this is something available on our Teachers Pay Teachers store. We have 3 versions, one for US history, one for ancient world history, and one for world geography. I've been using this since I created it. I think it was my 2nd year of teaching I created it, but regardless, it's my absolute favorite way to start the year. Basically what it is, it's one of those bingo type grids that students go around and write their names in, but they're customized for that particular subject. As I teach US history, that's the form that I use. And so what we do with it is I give a sheet to everyone. I say that it's a contest to try to fill up the grid as much as possible. You can only use each person's name once, and it's a great way for them to get out of their seat, interacting, thinking about social studies. I get to go around the room and I fill out a grid as well, and that actually helps me the most with learning names. From that activity, like, I have those individual interactions, and it's a great way for me to practice with the names. So that's an awesome way. I've multiple years actually been able to pretty much have like 90% of kids' names down by that 3rd day of school after doing this activity. So definitely one of my favorite things to do. So I'll link those below if you're interested in checking one out for your own social studies class. Also, it's very flexible because the activity itself usually takes around 15 to 25 minutes for the students to fill up their grids. Probably more so on the 15 range for older students, like 8th grade students. But then you can go over them, and that can continue to help you learn more about the students, because the questions, even though they're social studies related, it is a chance for you to get to know them a little better. So because of that, it can be extended or compressed as long as you need it to for that day of class. Then on Friday, we will go over the procedures that we went over the past day just to review them, because these are things that we really need to drill those first couple days to help them stick. And then we will get into a truths and lies activity. So to start, I will be doing it. Now, typically the version of the game is 2 truths, 1 lie. You have to figure out which one's the lie. But I want to have these be a little bit more comprehensive. So on the screen, I'm actually going to put 20 things about me. 10 of them will be true, 10 of them will be lies, and it will be a way for students to figure that out. Last year, I had been told by a lot of others in my district that I should put together a slideshow about myself, and I don't know, it just felt weird doing it, so I don't want to do that again. If we do it in this game format, I think it's a little bit more fun. Then we'll turn the tables, and I'll have the students come up with a game board where, again, half the things are true, half are lies, and then we'll give students the chance to share, play against each other, and then depending on the timing, I feel like we could run out of time a little bit, so that could either be continued the next week, or it could also be something that, you know, I collect the students' cards and I try to figure it out. I'm not sure exactly yet how the timing will work, but I think it should be positive. Also, with this first week, these first couple days, I guess, my vision is that we've done a lot to kind of create a positive classroom environment, but we still talked about some of the main rules and objectives without it being too much. We get into more of this substance though the second week. Now for the second week, a lot of this stuff I'll have ready to go just because timing, you don't always know how long certain things are going to take. So if I've got everything ready, I can move into the materials from, you know, the next day if I need to. So I don't have to have that awkward silence of, yikes, I guess what do we do now? Especially at the start of the year, you don't want to have that happen. Monday, the second week, this is when we'll do kind of a tour around the classroom. Not actually like having everyone walk and follow around as we point things out, but to kind of address all the stuff that's in the room. Gets into some of the basic procedures, but also gets into some of the specific policies. You'll see very shortly in my classroom tour, which should be the next video after this one, where you'll be able to see what kinds of things we have set up. But this year, I've got a lot of interactive bulletin boards and displays where the students will be submitting things, doing things with them. And so I want to explain each of those. For instance, as you'll see also in the tour, we have a Soar to New Heights board, which is basically for early finishers of activities. I never in the past had anything that I was, you know, super happy with, that I always had as a staple option when kids finished work. And so what happens then? Kids are always asking, many kids want to play computer games. It wasn't an ideal situation, but this year I put together this board that has over 25 different activities that they can do when they're done, mostly social studies related, and it's also very easy and displayed so they can help themselves to it. It also means I've got very specific choices when they're done. So they're like, can I play games? The answer this year will be no. And instead you can do one of those activities, or of course finish other homework if you've got it, or silent read. So that's something I'm really excited about. I will actually link that below if you're curious and checking out. If you are a social studies teacher, predominantly middle school, and you'd like to have some extra easy activities that you don't have to really worry about too much in setting up, you can just direct students there. Also, we have a Where in the World collage where the students can submit pictures of places they've been. There also is a board here for celebrating student failures and then how they turn those failures into successes. There are going to be basic policies. How do you check out one of the loaner classroom computers if their own computer is not working and they need to borrow one? So lots of different things that will be shown from around the room. Tuesday and Wednesday are kind of like our paperwork type days. A lot of teachers, I think, do paperwork the very first couple days. And so I remember students saying, like, again, we're doing this again. This is what we've done in all of our classes. So I wanted to push mine a little bit later because, you know, I probably don't need some of that stuff like the first couple days anyway. I can wait till the second week. But then it also means the kids aren't burned out from filling out all this paperwork all the same day, especially if you've got middle school students who are seeing 5 or 6 different core teachers. So during these 2 days, what kinds of paperwork and forms are we going over? We are going to start out with a syllabus. So this is where I generally discuss what we're doing during the year, the main concepts we'll learn, general rules, all of that kind of stuff. We're also going to talk over the detention form. Now, our school actually really encourages us to, take initiative if there are negative behaviors in our room, and really supports us giving detentions. So that's been something that was kind of new to me. At my previous school, the detentions, you were kind of indirectly punished if you gave one, because you had to stay after school, no additional pay, and supervise that student for the detention. So unfortunately, I think from that perspective, it kind of discouraged giving a detention. Also, I didn't have as many classroom management challenges there, but here at this school, it's very supportive. There's always Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays detentions after school, and the administration is very supportive of teachers with these detentions. So anyway, that being said, what I also found is that even though you can go over rules at the beginning of the year, there's a disconnect between some of the rules and then what's on the detention form. So this year, actually, my plan, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to actually put the detention form on the document camera and talk through each of the things or the infractions that are on there, just so students are super clear of, hey, if this happens, that gets written up as a detention. So it makes it super clear now, it takes out the guesswork later. What I'm hoping is that this level of transparency will help the students realize what the consequences are for specific actions and behave better and more accordingly, knowing that approach. I also last year, like I said, I learned so much last year. I had heard a lot of the other teachers on my team started out giving a lot of detentions during the first couple weeks, and then they noticed that behaviors decline, the negative behaviors decline, and didn't have to do as many the rest of the year. Me, on the other hand, since I wasn't really accustomed to giving detentions, I didn't actually give a detention until October, and by that point there were a lot of negative behaviors happening, and then because of that, then I had significantly more detentions throughout the year, and I became known as like the teacher on the team who gave the most detentions. So it's very funny how that all works, but like I said, I'm learning. So talking through that will be another plan. And then as far as some of the specific paperwork students will fill out, I've got a student inventory that is also in our TPT store. If you're interested, I will link that below as well. I designed it in a way to get a sense of both personal things about them as well as more so academic things about them, and it gives me a good sense of kind of where we're starting at. Seating chart preference cards. So what is their preference for where they sit around the room? Do they have any vision challenges in seeing the board? Are there any, specific social issues that I should be aware of? People that need to be separated? That can help me with that. I also have a classroom jobs application for some different classroom jobs. You can actually check a link down below to that as well. And also some parent information forms. So this just gives me a chance to kind of put these pieces together, and the parents would also be then signing off on like the syllabus and some of those other basic things. So with all that, Tuesday and Wednesday, that second week, taking care of it. Everything is due on Thursday, including also their school supplies that they need to be listed in the syllabus. And so on Thursday, we start to do actual content, just not social studies or Spanish specific content, but we actually kind of get in the swing of things. We're going to have a major focus this year on gratitude. So we'll be practicing a daily gratitude activity in addition to our daily social studies and Spanish bell ringer activity. It will be very short, but this year I'm really hoping that I can help the students become more comfortable with practicing like a daily gratitude and being more grateful for what we have, because even though I know that there is a lot of struggle that goes on in the lives of students everywhere, and there's just a lot of challenges people go through, I think that we can still identify different things that we're grateful for. And sometimes even the negative things, we can be grateful for those because of who they've made us become and that kind of thing. So I really want to spend a full day talking about gratitude and thinking of a lot of examples of things that we can be grateful for and different types of gratitude, and talk through that on this Thursday. So they'll have their notebooks in, and we're gonna do an activity within their notebooks about this, just to help them feel really comfortable about the activity and feel like they won't struggle. I want them to feel empowered about it and maybe excited about it too. That's gonna be what we cover on the Thursday. And then finally, the last day in these first 2 weeks, the Friday, we're going to do another notebook related activity. This one is going to be called What's in My Backpack? Now, I did get this idea from college. One of my professors, during one of his lectures one day, he brought in this backpack and he pulled out all of these blocks that had different parts of his social identity written on them. Some things you can tell visibly, other things you can't. And so I want to do a similar version of this activity, just as a way that we can see what each of us bring to the table. Now, I'm not going to require students present this in front of the class. I'll start and present mine first in front of the class, and I probably will do the backpack prop with some stuff inside of it. But then I want to give students the chance to either write out, sketch out, however they want to show kind of what things are in their backpack. Again, not literal school supplies, but what are some parts of their identity or personality that they're bringing to their school day. So that's going to be our activity that day. Now, that kind of wraps up these first 2 weeks. The one thing that will also happen that's a start of the year activity that I just don't know what day it will happen will be when the students get their Chromebooks. Each year during the school year, the students do have a Chromebook, and so they get those sometime in the first couple weeks of the school year, and then they turn them in a couple weeks before the end. So at some point I think they'll get those, and then we'll set up our Google Classroom pages. But otherwise, that's really what I plan on doing. And then I think after those first 2 weeks are done, then we jump into the content the next week. So I'm hopeful that you guys found this video to be helpful. Again, if you didn't already, make sure you get that free download of this schedule, especially if you think it could be helpful for you. I know my first couple years of teaching, I would have loved a video like this, just seeing what someone does during their first couple weeks, because those first couple weeks can be really overwhelming. And I found that as I keep learning more and improving, this is going to be a schedule I think that really works for me going forward. If you have any questions, of course, let me know in the comments below, and make sure you've subscribed to the channel if you haven't. You can actually do so right here, classroom tour, and many more videos to come. You can also check out our past videos here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.